showcase tournaments, travel teams, academies, on and on it goes. Has it altered the way sports will be watched for years to come? And is it fixable? All on today's 1420 in the morning. Let's get into her.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
14:20 in the morning, 14 minutes and 20 seconds where the sports talk to get you through your daily commute. Hot takes, recaps, best bets, and a little humor to get your day going in the right direction. Sit back, grab your coffee, and let's get into it.
All right, 14:20 in the morning for this 14th day of December 2024. Today's show, as always, is brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420SEAT at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase over there at SeatGeek. Remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to BellyUpSports.com for all of their great articles and other podcasts. It's my guys over there at Craft Brewed Sports, the guys that No Credits Required. Watch them this morning and a host of other great podcasts as well. Thank you for all those who take their time out of their busy schedules to either watch us on YouTube or catch up on old shows on the podcast forum. Available wherever you get your podcasts. Obviously, I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time on the Soto thing. That thing's been beaten to death throughout this week, but I hate to say I told you so, but I actually, you know what? I don't mind telling you I told you so. It's kind of how I am, how I've always been. But it wasn't a surprise to me, the Juan Soto press conference the other day when he was introduced to the Mets world and the seven train army, whatever they want to call themselves, that Juan Soto has not spoken to any of his ex-teammates from the Yankees since the World Series ended. Hasn't seen him, hasn't talked to him, no communication whatsoever. Doesn't shock me one bit that that's how it all came to an end, because I kind of said it. There's a reason why this guy's on his fourth or fifth or whatever, fourth team in how many years, and he just that's how he is. That's who he is, and that's what it. And that's how it's not a surprise he was going to the Mets. That he was a swan song in New York with the Yankees, and he was going no matter what. So the communication, because his teammates may have known that as well. That no point in talking to this guy, no point in trying to communicate with this guy, no point in trying to convince him to stay in pinstripes with the Yankees. He was going no matter what. So it was Aaron Judge basically said, I'm not going to waste my time on this guy. It was all a charade. It was all a show, and he was going. So he wasn't surprised at all that Juan Soto is just that's who he is. And that's how it's going to be. I said I told you so, that there was a reason why this guy he's been touted to go to the Mets for a long time. There was no way he wasn't going, and yeah, that's it. It's not a surprise. And I told you so. There was something fishy the whole time. It was going to be there. I know, like, Soto would have been there. I get it. Matt Ordazzo. That's from Matt. If the Yankees re-signed Soto, the Yankees fans, we all know our offseason would have been Soto and Loaisiga, and that's it. No more pieces. That would have been out all the spending. 100%, Matt. It's not a surprise that he outpriced himself in with now. What are the Mets going to do? The Mets have deeper pockets, and we talked about. Everybody talks about this whole thing's been a long-standing thing, and it's just what it is. It's just what it is. I'm not upset about it. I'm really not. I talked about it the other day. I talked about it with Brian from Locked On Yankees the other day. Everybody, I'm not upset. He went. He was going, and I think his Yankee teammates knew it. I think everybody, like, deep down inside, knew it. And it's not a surprise that no one's talked to this guy. He left one team with the Nationals, got offered $450 million 4 years ago. He went to another team with the Padres. He went to another team with the Yankees, and now he's on another team for the next 15 years at a real big overpay at $51 million. And there ain't many people that I've talked to in the last week since it's all went down that don't disagree with me on how much money it was. It's crazy just to see how much it went. It doesn't make sense how much money, but that's the way it went. Matt Ordazzo, once again, he's very talkative tonight. He says, I do like the way Cash has pivoted after losing Soto. Love the Freed edition and the Devin Williams trade. Absolutely. Loaisiga, Weaver, Williams, a great 1-2-3 punch for 7 through 9. to go get a third baseman. Yeah, they have some flexibility now. They have some flexibility. They didn't blow the proverbial load on one guy, and that's what it is. This guy, you get up once every 5 times, you walk twice, you get a hit, and all of a sudden you're going to the Hall of Fame. Whatever. And you got to have a team. It's a individualistic sport. It's a team sport based on individualistic efforts. 51 sheets. I don't know. I saw it. We'll get off the Soto thing in half a second here. If you think that like how much money he got, $765 million. And I saw something yesterday. And say what you want about Alex Rodriguez and how much of a player was he? And he was a $25 million guy, and this was 20 years ago. It's crazy to think how long it's been since he got that deal. If you're giving Soto $51 million, are you telling me that Juan Soto's two times better than A-Rod was? Not a chance. If A-Rod was playing now, and so, yeah, the PEDs and the steroids and whatever you want to talk and his attitude, but he went to the Yankees, took a deal, played third base on a team that he was probably the best shortstop on, but went there to win and do some and try to help win a championship. How much would A-Rod have gotten on today's market? 100 million? Really? Would Cohen have paid him $100 million? He's a better player than Soto's ever going to be. And it's that simple. I think it's really it's crazy the money he got. Like no one's going to convince me that it was the proper market, everything else. It's insane. The money he's going to be making and on it goes. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense at all. It's how pro sports are. It's how the business of sports is. One guy, he must be worth it because someone paid him, right? Everybody says no one's worth that kind of money. Must be. Someone paid for it. Got to give Boris credit. He got that guy the money. You got to give Soto credit. He said he didn't take the $400 million how many years ago with the Nationals. He knew he was going to get double that, right? Not double, but you know what I mean. So it's not astonishing. It's not astonishing. That's how much money he got, and this is what somebody paid him, so that's what he's worth. It's the same as a baseball card. It's the exact same thing as a baseball card. It's only worth what someone else is going to pay for it. You can think you have the best baseball card collection, your souvenirs, your whatever you might have, your memorabilia you have. The guy got some stuff down here that I think is priceless. Someone walks down here, they're like, you know what? I'm not paying crap for that. So it's only worth what someone else is going to pay for it. And someone else decided to pay Juan Soto way too much money. Way too much money, and it's not good for sports. It's not good for professional sports. It's not good for minor sports, and it's going to drive up a lot of goofy parents in the very near future who think that their kid's going to be worth how much money, little Johnny, little Billy, and that's what I want to get into a little bit here now. Christmas time around in Canada, especially, brings on the World Junior Championship. The World Hockey Championship starts on Boxing Day, and I used to be a big fan of this tournament. I used to watch it all the time. You get pumped up. You buy your Canadian gear. You'd watch all the exhibition games. You'd have your Team Canada jerseys on. You'd plan parties before Christmas, watch the exhibition games. After Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's, the Boxing Day game, the New Year's game versus the U.S. or the Russians. The Russians aren't allowed to play this year. There's still that war with Ukraine. But anyways, it's crazy to think that tournament, how much of a backseat it has taken in the last few years. And I know there's the sexual assault scandal that rocked the Hockey Canada world. But I don't think that that's a reason why people aren't watching this tournament anymore. I don't think it's a reason why it's not as big as it used to be. It used to be the biggest thing going. It used to be the biggest thing in Canada. And truth be told, I didn't know, and I'm a sports guy. I do a sports podcast. I'm a hockey guy, but more of a baseball guy, as you guys know, in the recent months. But I didn't know this tournament was being played in Canada. I had no idea that the World Junior Championships, because people used to make travel plans, and we're going to go to this tournament. I almost said gonna, but I'm a grown-up now. People make travel plans to go to this thing, and I didn't know that this tournament, which was the biggest thing in Canada year in, year out for 20-plus years, that this one was being played in Canada this year in Ottawa. I had no clue. And that's not because of my viewing choices anymore. That's not because of my listening choices anymore. Or my algorithms on the Twitter machine or Facebook or whatever. I didn't know. And I honestly think that there is such I don't want to go as far as saying a disdain, but there's definitely a different line of thinking when it comes to people who watch minor sports, who are part of minor sports, who are used to be part of minor sports, and watch these things. there's a lot of people who have a genuine who cares about the whole thing anymore? The landscape of amateur sports, minor sports, has really altered the way the way people have a perception of professional and semi-professional sports. And I don't think this is in a positive light at all. There's so many things that happen on a daily basis in the amateur sport world that really puts a sour taste in people's mouths, and that puts a different taste in people's mouth, because the people with a couple of bucks in their pocket or some disposable income, they're kind of sick of it. And it's not as entertaining, and there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that people are now more privy to. It's not so much behind the scenes anymore. A couple of weeks back, I was fortunate enough, actually just a week ago, man, it's been a long week. I was fortunate enough to go up to Saskatoon for the WCBL meetings. We had a good time, and that has not much to do with with what I'm going to say here, but we were up there. So the Saskatoon Blades, who are also their ownership group is also the owners of Saskatoon Berries in our league, and they put us up in they gave us a private little bar area where we could have a few beers and have some eats, and go watch the hockey game and everything else. And having a bunch of baseball guys as your demographic probably isn't the best way to do things, but the game was on, and some people just stayed in the bar area having some beers and talking business and baseball, but people trickled up to watch the game a little bit. They're playing the Calgary Hitmen, and so you're watching the game, and to a man, and I know baseball guys aren't the best to people to critique a hockey game. Like, I'm a hockey guy as well, but you had a bunch of baseball guys saying, "Man, is this boring?" And I gotta agree with you. Hockey, and I've said it before and I say it again, junior hockey is taking a step back in general, because it's not the most exciting. It's not the most exciting brand of sport anymore. It's not the most exciting brand of anything anymore. Yeah, and I blame this 100%. And I maybe you can at me or tell me I'm wrong, or get back to me in the comments, or whatever you want to do. Junior hockey is not nearly as good as it was 20 years ago. It's not nearly as good as it was 30 years ago. It's not nearly as good as it was 40 years ago. And I'm not going to even go to 50, because I remember about like 45 years ago watching junior hockey, but it's not nearly as good as it used to be. And the simple fact of the matter is, money has taken over, and so have the academies and the kids and the things and the stuff and the parents and travel and all on it goes. And I think this is in other sports as well. And I'll get to the other sports in half a second here. But because of the junior hockey isn't nearly as good in the local level, people aren't going to spend the money to watch, or even and spending money or spend the time as well to watch it at the highest level, which is the World Junior Tournament, because it's the same kids. It's the same kids that are playing that sport, and it's the same kids that are watching it. It's the same kids that are playing on, and there's such a disconnect now with these athletes at the young age, between 16 to 20 years old. That starts earlier than that, the age of 12, at the age of 10. I even heard about some at the age of 7 to 8 years old now, that they're going to these academies and they're going to these things, and there's a disconnect, and there's a divide between the have and have nots. I'm not talking monetarily wise. I'm talking about, because people don't have the money to do it either. There's some that do, obviously, but the have and have nots that they think they're driving a wedge between the communities that they used to play in and the communities that they are now playing in. And I'm talking about these academies that are popping up out of nowhere, and these travel teams that are popping up out of nowhere, and so all these kids are going to different communities to play. Yeah, they're born in, say, I'll just use my hometown for an example. There's nobody going there, so it's an easy one. But if you had a kid from Fort Macleod who was really good, and he would play in different communities, like let's say Claresholm, and go up to High River, and go into Lethbridge, and then let's go west into Pincher Creek, and those areas. So now these kids, because now they're going to the bigger centers, they're going into Calgary, so they get kind of lost in the mix. So you don't have that rural feel to these kids anymore, like you did back in the 90s and the 2000s, when the World Junior was so big. Even the 2010s, it was so big and it was massive. And then it was just, now it's kind of just gone away, and COVID had something to do with it. And like, there's things, but it was so massive because all of these kids, they were part of your community until they got bigger and larger than life, and they went and played junior hockey, say into Lethbridge, or then they were 16 years old and they were playing in Saskatoon or into Edmonton, or they're into Kamloops or Kelowna, and across the Western Hockey League. And now you don't have that anymore. And this is right across the country in Canada. I know my American listeners and viewers are probably thinking, yeah, it's hockey, who cares? But and I think that this can be translated to other sports as well. These kids used to be a part of the communities that they were born in for a long period of time, and so you got to know these kids, and then you got to play against these guys. So you had a feeling that you got to know them a little bit, and you got to say, yeah, I played against that guy. He was a prick, or he's a good guy, or whatever it might have been. And now you don't have that anymore, because all of these kids, they end up going to the same schools, the ones that are elite, quote unquote. I hate using air quotes because I'm 50, but these kids that are told that they're elite, they get away from their communities that they're born in. They get away from that rural feel. They get away from that hometown feel that hockey used to have here in Canada. And now it's a lot different. Now all these teams are just built on something else, and kids leave at a very young age to go and pursue their I don't want to even say their childhood dreams. It's their parents' dreams. Because a childhood dream is something when you're 7, and you're watching the Lethbridge Hurricanes or the Brandon Wheat Kings, and you look up to these kids and you go, you know what, I'd love to do that one day. So that's a childhood dream. So when and then you go back to your local rink at 7 a.m. and you're playing hockey, that's something that happens now because of these academies, travel teams, showcase tournaments, and on it goes. You don't get that feel anymore. So that has actually, I think, and it's my show, so I'm allowed to think, and I'm allowed to. If you want to have a podcast, go ahead. I don't recommend it, but I really think that's part of the problem, why there's a disconnect with the viewing public of Canada that with the World Junior now. I think that it's because there is such a disconnect of the parents who think that their kids are going somewhere, and now the game of hockey is taking a step back. And I think that's a real reason why the World Junior doesn't get the viewership that it used to. You don't know who these kids are. You have no idea who these kids are. If you didn't have a junior hockey team near your community 20 years ago, you knew who these, like if you didn't go to a one Western League game, it was in the hockey news. Now there's no hockey news. It's all online. But now you just don't know who these players are, because you don't get to go down to the local rink and see these elite athletes, like, once again, quote unquote elite in air quotes. You don't get to know these kids anymore. If your kid isn't one of these kids who goes on these travel teams, these showcase tournaments, you don't know who this kid is. You have no idea who these guys are anymore, because they get transferred from team to team. And yeah, you hear about this kid or that kid, elite prospects here or whatever you got. You don't know who these kids are. So there's definitely something. There's not every community who's watching the World Junior, because they used to have, like, I know this kid from 2 towns over. I knew this kid. He played against my son. I knew this kid because when I played junior, that's his dad, his uncle, his cousin. Everybody had somebody who would do that. Everybody knew somebody who knew somebody. And that was the big thing about the World Junior, how great it used to be. Everybody was 2 degrees of separation from knowing someone on that ice, from either a year before or that year or whatever it was. Everybody knew somebody. And that was the feel that Canada had when it came to the World Junior. And that's gone. That is gone. And that, like I said earlier on, if you're just tuning in now, I didn't know that the World Junior Championships was being played in my country this year. And I used to watch that thing faithfully. Drink beer, watch it, have people over, go to their house, go to bars, the whole bit. You'd have your Christmas to New Year's planned out month in advance. Now I didn't even know it's being played in Canada. I didn't have a clue. Not that I don't care, but I don't care. I'll watch it. I'll tune in maybe, but it's not for a viewing thing. And it's like I said earlier, it's not part of that sex scandal that rocked the hockey world and everything else. It's because of the way minor sports are being played now, and the way that the parents are being duped is the reason why people don't watch the World Junior anymore. People, like, here is Peter Wall. How you doing, Peter? Every small town across the prairies had a hockey family that we all knew and had to watch out when we played against them. And that's exactly what I'm saying, Peter. And that's why there's definitely a disconnect with the hockey community, and that's why the World Junior has gotten so little airtime now. It just nobody cares. Nobody cares because all those kids, you don't know who they are. That kid that may have grown up in New Westminster, BC, all of a sudden he's playing for some hockey academy in Calgary. He just gets put into the mix. You don't know who he is. And I'm not talking at the age of 14. They're going to the age of 10. I heard a story last week that there's this guy who drives his kid up to Calgary 3 times a week from Lethbridge at 1 in the afternoon for practice. So this kid, I don't even remember his last name. He's gone. You'll never see him again because they're just, we keep rolling these kids together and rolling these kids together. And then all these kids get caught up in the mix. They get caught up in the mix and then they're not good enough. So if a kid can't develop in his hometown, he just doesn't have a chance to shine and be a small town hero and then get that confidence to go on to the next level. And I seen it last week at the Blades game, and and they're all like, I'm not saying that they're bad athletes, but the new age athlete isn't that good. Their skill is highly extreme. They can all skate like the wind. They can all do the dipsy doodles and the how she goings and all that stuff. The Michigans from behind the net. That when I played junior hockey 30 some years ago, no one was doing that stuff, right? So these kids are highly skilled, but the game ain't the same. The game isn't as good. The game isn't nearly as entertaining. And like they're always to a man. All these baseball guys are baseball guys, and so saying it's boring is kind of an oxy. It's pretty rich, but it was boring. It was boring to watch. No hitting, no fighting, no nothing. Junior hockey used to be, even the World Junior. I remember Jordan Tutu. I can't remember what year it was, 97 or 98, that team that played in Halifax, I think it was. And he was running guys over left and right. The Tutu train was coming down the tracks. It was exciting. You don't have that anymore. You just don't have it anymore because all these kids they have skill coaches, development coaches, mental health coaches. And I'm not saying that punching kids who are 16 to 20 years old, punching each other in the head is a good thing. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that the game has been watered down to a different level. It's a different game, and it's not nearly as entertaining. From junior hockey right on through. And then even if you go and want to watch a bantam game, it's the same thing. All these kids are just me, doing it for themselves. They score a goal, they're pulling their jersey, they're jumping on the glass. It's not, these new age athletes are starting to drive me nuts. They're driving me nuts because it's not nearly as good as it used to be. And that is the reason why people aren't watching the World Junior anymore. A couple years back, 2000, what was it, 23, 22, I can't remember, the Connor Bedard show when he was just scoring 23 points in 7 games, whatever it was. It was unbelievable. Like, it was unbelievable to watch. Like, it was crazy to watch. So that had a bit of juice to it because everybody knew who this kid was. But how does it translate to National Hockey League? It hasn't. 6 goals. He has 6 goals. Playing with the big boys. It's different. And the other day, I don't even know how it came up. We were talking about the Rod Peterson show. Obviously, his show is much bigger than my little thing that I do down here in my basement. But I remember Rod Peterson was talking about Connor Bedard. It was on the Belly Up Hockey show, and he was talking about Connor Bedard is going to take the world by storm, and he was trying to compare him to different players. And I was like, hold your horses with this, man. The kid's small. There's a lot of small kids. The kid's small. He's going to a really bad team, which he is. And look how it's turned out. I'm not saying he's not going to turn into a great player. I'm not saying it's his fault that he's in Chicago, that his team is bad and he's struggling. It's not his fault because that's where you end up going. But here's the thing. So now you're going to draft another kid. It's hard to rebuild because all you're going to do is bring up another kid that's the exact same. Another kid that's highly skilled. Another kid that can skate like the wind. They aren't going to be Connor McDavid. They're not. These guys aren't earth-shattering players that are going to change the hockey world like McDavid has. That's generational. And that term generational gets thrown out way too often in my eyes. This kid, Bedard, is very good in junior. It hasn't translated in the National Hockey League yet. And so now that they break it apart and go down another year, he's in year 3. He'll be in year 3 when they get another guy. Then what? So you get another kid who's small, another kid who skates like the wind, another kid who can pick the corners, another kid who can do the Michigan. Then what? How do you rebuild? You got the same kid. It's watered down. Hockey, it's got too many teams. It's watered down, and it's all about skill development. There's no heart. There's no desire because all these kids play for teams all the time. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I don't know if I've said it on this show, on whatever show. The reason that there is a decline in sports And all this stuff that happens on and you look right, go right at the top. What happened last week with Juan Soto? There is no loyalty, and it starts at a very young age, and that's the problem with sports today. There is zero loyalty. You look at Juan Soto; he didn't give a fiddler's f, and I'm still not swearing here at 9:25 in the morning. Soto didn't care one bit about that New York Yankees team. He was getting the payday no matter what. He did not care about playing for the Yankees after this season. He knew he was going to be a Met. The world knew. If you're a baseball fan, you knew. And that's where it starts. So all these kids, they just play. They just play team to team. They go here, they go there, they go here, they go there. They win. They don't care. They don't care. Yeah, you feel all right. All right. But in general, it's all about me stat. It's about me stat. Me do this. They pull their jersey, they score a goal. A kid hits a home run, flipping his bat. They look at me, look at my stats, look at my game changer. These kids don't care if they win or lose. They don't. So then you throw these kids when they're 17, 18, 19 years old playing for their country. They're like, this is the first time that they've ever had to play for anything. Like it's absolutely insane that how much how bad it's gotten, and I blame parents, and I blame all of it. Like I blame these organizations, I blame all of it, because these kids don't seem to get it, and that's the problem. And so now it's translating up through sports, like it's going right up. You don't watch hockey as much as I used to. I don't care. It's all the same kid. Yeah, it gets the playoffs, absolutely. Games mean something. But now, because it's such a different game, and the way that it's treated at all levels, and how these guys, the transfer portals, and let's get into that kid Miller Moss for USC. He lost his starting job. He only got in there because on and on, but he lost his starting job because he started to suck. So he started losing, got benched for somebody else. You know his first reaction? I'm not going to try harder. I'm not going to work my way to get my starting job back. No, what's the first thing he does? The going get tough, the tough get going. Transfer portal, I'm out. See you later. I'm not doing this. Like, heaven forbid somebody would take any accountability for not being good enough. So you have all these kids who just leave. Oh, you know what, Dad? This sucks. I should be starting. Or the dad says, this sucks. My kid should be starting. So they start a new team. They start a new league. They start a whole new thing because they're little Johnny and little Billy, the new age athlete. They can just come and go as they please. Heaven forbid you'd have any loyalty to your state or your team or your whoever drafted you or whoever or your hometown. Heaven forbid that you would actually try to make something good for your community or for anything else. To constantly be just changing teams and changing teams. That is why people are becoming less and less. I shouldn't say less, but because there's football, the place is packed no matter what. It's popular. But in general, you go to a junior hockey game, place isn't full. They're not full. World Juniors, I don't know if it's going to be full. You used to never get a ticket. You couldn't get tickets to World Junior. Now you don't even know it's on. People have such a disconnect to this new age athlete that they don't care. They don't care because it's not as competitive as it used to be. It's just a different sport. And I just don't understand why. And it goes to baseball too. It goes to right on through. You have some kids playing on 9 different teams throughout the spring and into the summer. They don't even know what uniform to bring half the time. It's all this new age athlete and it drives me nuts. And that's the reason why we have the problems we have. It's so me driven. Yes, you hope your kid's going to get themselves a scholarship. You just hope, right? But to go to that next level, and I guarantee you, on Monday morning when the news got out big time about Juan Soto getting $765 million, there was a lot of dads buying a lot of batting cages, a lot of tees, a lot of these rope bat things I saw on the Instagram machine or the Facebook or Twitter machine. There's a lot of dads saying, yeah, that's my boy. He's going to do that. And then on the other hand, I guarantee you, there was a lot of guys who own these baseball facilities thinking, oh, I'm going to cash in on little Johnny's dad now. You watch this. Watch how much money I'm going to make because I can say, Soto does this, I can teach this without a clue of what they're doing. There is such a disconnect between professional sports and minor sports and amateur. I don't know if it's minor sports, amateur sport, I guess, because it's right on through, and how it's all intertwined together, and it's such big business, and how everybody's duped, and it's crazy to watch. It's crazy to watch, and how little competitive uh, competition there is. It's like it's not competitive. Yeah, like I said, that junior, like it's being a baseball guy more than I'm a hockey guy now. But watching that game the other night in Saskatoon, it's nice. It's not a shot against these kids. They're highly skilled. Their fitness levels are through the roof. They don't drink and smoke it's part of their job like we used to 20, 30 years ago when I played junior hockey. Right. So these kids are highly skilled and their athleticism is through the roof, but it's not as good. The product is not as good. And that translates onto TV. Just these same kids. It's these same kids that are getting that parents are getting told this, and you'll end up playing. No, you won't. You know, it's these same kids that these pro sports franchises are trying to rebuild their teams around. You're gonna have a heck of a time there in Chicago because it's just another Connor Bedard coming through. And I'm not saying Bedard's not going to turn into a great player. He's going to have a lot of struggles there in Chicago. But like I told Rod Peterson, I said he's going to have a lot of troubles there in Chicago because all you're going to do if you're trying to rebuild, the next Taves isn't Jonathan Taves isn't walking through the door. The next Patrick Kane ain't walking through the door. Patrick Kane's a Hall of Famer. All these guys, if you want to just keep drafting the same kid, that's all you're going to get. You're going to get the same kid. Teams are having a lot of trouble rebuilding. You look at Detroit, the eyes are planted. It ain't working. Why? Because all you're getting is that same kid who's getting the same. He's just playing. Highly skilled, but it's the same kid. And it isn't working. And it translates right on through. You're getting the same kid with the same metrics, with the same health plan, with the same O2 scores or whatever it is. Like I'm too old to know what all this stuff is, but it's just the same kid that you have to. Noah LeBlue, how you doing, Noah? How do you fix it? I don't know how you fix it, Noah. Like it's such a crazy thing because there's so much money being made. I don't know if you can fix it. There's so much money I've always said like the biggest thing for me, Noah, is like this just on the baseball level of things. Minor sports has to get back to being minor sports, and you have to have the kids who are at level B that are pretty good. That are okay, they have a chance to go up a level or just that they're right there. But those kids have to be able to play with kids who are also good. So having house league, yeah, it's one thing, but have like a level B house league or level A house league. Sorry, so the B guys would be below. Sorry, but make sure that these kids have a chance to play with kids who are better, and so they can get better. So you'll never get better playing with bad competition. But you're going to have other guys saying, "Well, my kid's really good, so why should he play with this kid? Your kid ain't that good, man." He'll play with this kid and he'll get a little bit of swagger. Having some swagger isn't a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. So I think it's the level B players that are going to change how sport is played. It's these guys who have a chance to go up to the next level. I think that's how you fix it. I think you got to have a way, and you got to get back to these community teams and having a reason to play and have a reason to play for something. And have it like when they like and swing your dick around when you win a local championship or try to win a local championship. Not saying I've seen kids, I've seen parents and kids not participate in big tournaments that they played in because they were going to go to a showcase tournament. I was like, what the hell? So why even bother? So now you're taking away from these other kids who might not have a chance to win something to the last time because eventually I've said it before and I'll say it again. We laugh about it at the office all the time. You run out of games. You just run out of games. And the competitiveness isn't available anymore to these kids. And you're just playing the play to pad your stats so you can send it to a coach who doesn't care. We get resumes from kids all the time for kids to play for the Bulls in the office. All the time. Right? My stats are this, my stats are that, but I don't have an eye test on this kid. I don't know if he cares about winning. I don't know. Like, and we don't have a big scouting staff that could travel all over everywhere, I guess, but it's because minor sports is the way it is and amateur sports the way it is, and the money that can be made once you get to college now with the transfer portal. What that kid from Michigan is going to Michigan next year, getting $10 million, $10 million a year to play college. So you can't blame parents. But parents have to have some logical thinking and that not every one of these kids is going to make the money. Like you got to just have I don't know. You have to find a way to get kids back involved into it. You have to find a way to get parents involved into it for the right reasons. And the right reasons aren't being displayed right now in any sport. I'm around baseball all the time. It's not it's not doomsday because we're trying things in our office. I know I'm not just saying this for the sake of patting myself on the back, because a pat in the back's 3 feet kick in the ass. But to have that little league connection with baseball, to make sure the grassroots kids are getting a chance to play, to make sure that B level kids getting a chance to play with A level kids, it's important. It's important. And if you get those kids watching, you get those kids involved, then you get the parents involved, and then they want to do things for the greater good. And then you might actually have somebody who's interested, and let's go to the hockey rink, but we'll transfer over there. Then you might actually have some buzz to watch the World Junior. It's crazy how that has just taken a back seat, and I think I've laid it out very. I don't know if I'm right or wrong or whatever. I hope you tell me I'm right or tell me I'm wrong. A little bit of interaction with this wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but it's so insane to me that all of these things are happening right in front of our eyes, and nobody understands why. I think I just told you why. I really think I just told you why. People aren't watching because you don't know who these kids are. There's no connection. Zero. I don't know. I could care less that this kid played at the Southern Alberta, whatever, or the Edge or Icy or Edgy or Okanagan. What town's he from? What's the story behind this kid? What's the kid from Endiang, Alberta, Darcy Tucker's hometown? I want to hear those stories again. I love hearing those stories. And there was always that connection with the World Junior, and it's gone. Now this from this academy, who plays this academy, did they win? No one knows. No one knows. You know why no one knows? Because they don't care either. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about those academy teams that pop out in the middle of nowhere. Did you win? Doesn't matter. I got 5. I got 4 of my kids getting tours next week. It's for this. I got 3 kids who play junior here. I don't care if I win or lose. They don't. Did I get that? I got that dad's paycheck. I got this dad's this. I got this mom's this. On and on it goes. Nobody cares, man. And that's why it's a broken system. And youth sports, it's so broken. And it's not like, and you can't even call it amateur sport anymore. You can't even call it amateur sports anymore because all the money that's being made off the backs of these parents, off the backs of these organizations. It's absolutely insane. And amateur sport is so broken. That's why nobody watches the World Junior anymore. You don't know who they are. You don't know any of it anymore. It's so insane to me that this happens on every level of everything. And people try to say, well, I'm trying to give my kid the best chance to make it. You know what? That's been happening since the age. If your kid's good enough, he'll make it. If he's good enough and he can play against the right competition. And that's the thing. If he can play against the right competition, just because all the best players are going to these academies doesn't mean it's the best competition, because it's not. Because most of those kids could care less if their team wins. Because if they don't, it doesn't matter. They'll put on another jersey tomorrow and go somewhere else and get showcased up again. And that's what matters. Travel teams, they don't care. What's my kid's stats? They don't even want their kids to be on the best teams. They want their kid to be the best on that team to get noticed more. Winning doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's no, like, if you win something and this feeling, and these kids are going to find out. These kids are going to find out that glory days and sitting around the bar 20 years after you won something that was the coolest thing in the world, that you can have that forever. And you'll talk about that, and the story's going to get better and better no matter what. That story is going to improve. You go home for Christmas to your mom's house. You go back to the local bar and you have a few beers with your buddies and talk about the glory days and how good it was. Those days are gone. Those days are so far gone in the world of amateur to minor sports, because now you don't even know who these kids are. The kids don't know who they're playing with nowadays. They don't know what team they're on half the time because they just go from here to there. They might make the odd friend here and there, but you know what? It's going to go away. And I have a real hard time with that. Will I watch the World Junior? Probably. Am I invested in it? Yeah, see how Canada does. Fair weather fan, I guess. But I don't know who these kids are. I don't watch it. I don't pay attention to it anymore. It's just not exciting. It's just not exciting to me. And I just don't like it's all these little all-star teams that get popped up out of here. The kids aren't even showcasing how good they could be. We don't even know how good these kids could be because it's just the same kid doing the exact same thing. They're all the same player, and it's right across sport. You still have your really elite guy. You'll have your really elite guy, but you know what? That really elite guy, he was probably going to make it, no matter what. No matter what school he went to, what academy he went to, that elite guy, he was going no matter what. So what's the point? What's the point? What is the point of having all of this if that really elite kid was going to make it? Keep him in his hometown so he can help those other kids do something. He can help that B level player become an A level player. Why not? If all you're doing is recruiting these kids to play at your academy because you're gonna help out the system. You're gonna help out that kid. That travel team's gonna help out. The showcase term's gonna help out. They're reaching right into your pocket, patting you on the back, telling you how good they are, and he's taking your wallet at the same time. That's the problem. They got to get back to the communities. They got to get, and not just the small towns. They got to get back in the communities that they play in. Whether like if you're in Leopards, there was Norcrest, Lakeside, blah blah blah. And I'm sure in a big city like New York, there's this district, this district, this district. Go back and play for those teams. Help your community do something. Grow the game. Do something to help. Growing the game isn't making it elite it's not helping anything. It's not. Because then this kid gets told that he can't, he's not good enough. So what do? Change teams. Just like they did when they were 12. Well, we'll just change teams. We'll make a new team. So now it's transfer portal. Well, I can't start here. I'm going to go somewhere else. Well, you didn't, like if you were any good, you wouldn't have to go to the transfer portal. Pretty simple. If you fulfilled your part of the bargain, you would stay. So that's what happened this week. The elite of the elite. I don't think he's the elite of the elite. I don't think he's the fifth best player in baseball right now, let alone the best ball player. He was going to the Mets no matter what. He was leaving. He was getting a promise no matter what from somebody else, and he's leaving. So Yankee fans who are butthurt about Soto going, this is happening already in minor sports. That kid's going somewhere else because they don't care. That kid's going somewhere else no matter what. He's going to play over here from town A to town B, from academy A to academy B, travel ball team A to travel ball team B, whatever it might be. He's going somewhere else because he's getting promised something by somebody else, and it's all a bunch of crap. And sports is not good because of it. Building a dynasty, it's tough, and it's getting tougher and tougher and tougher. Why? Money, free agency, and on it goes. The Chicago Blackhawks are in for a heap of trouble because they have one of the best prospects that's been the last 10 years. Well, how long has McDavid been in the league? 8 years. So the last 8 years, one of the best prospects in Connor Bedard. What's he done so far? Yeah, I know it's early. 6 goals. So now the Blackhawks got to draft the same kid. Said it earlier. The Detroit Red Wings. The Yzer plan. How do you build? Same kids. They have all these same kids without personality, without ever having to win anything. Yeah, I said this earlier. Our most interesting point of Soto's move was when he said he hasn't spoken to any of his teammates since the World Series. Where was Judge, Cole, and why no communication? They knew he was leaving. What's the point? They knew he was leaving. They knew that the Mets were going to outbid him no matter what. The Mets were going to outbid the Yankees. There was no point talking to him. Or maybe, like I said earlier on this week, maybe Soto isn't that good of a guy. Maybe. Fourth team in how many years? Maybe it's that, right? He's the academy kid. I'm going to go play here. I'm going over here no matter what. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing, just a different level. It's I'm not talking to that kid. Judge is still the best player in that team. Why should Judge kiss that guy's ass? Right? Like, I get you want him to be around. If Soto was still a Yankee, I'd be happy, but he's gone. Doesn't matter to me. We lost with him. We'll lose without him. Whatever, right? No, like it's sports. It's just different. Is it better? No. Is it bad? No. Like, I watch. Like, there's no getting around. Like, I watch it. Like, it's part of what I do. But the World Junior has taken a back seat to my Christmas viewing. I'll watch it. Not invested in it. Don't know who the kids are. Like when they'll flash up their who they played for, or they'll do their hometown heroes thing, whatever they do during the World Juniors. They'll say he played at this academy. They won't say who his Pee Wee or Tiny Mike coach is like they used to. He goes to the Edge Ice Hockey Academy in Calgary. Who cares? I don't even know where that is. I remember where Darcy Tucker's from, right? You remember Lindros. You remember all these larger-than-life characters. And it was great. Like even the Eberle goals. And you think that, and that's only, 14 years ago now. Like how that's changed in the last 10 years, in the last 5 years especially, actually. How that's changed, it's remarkable. How the business of sport has gotten to a point where it's made the highest levels less watchable at the amateur level. It's insane to me. And maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just being a little bit cynical here on a Saturday morning before I get in the Christmas spirit. But I just it's just different. Everything's different. Money's changed it, and money's been around for a long time. But money in sports been around for a very long time, and it's just how it's gotten to a level that I didn't think was possible in the last 5 to 6 years. I just never saw it coming. I had an idea it was coming, but not to this level. And it's sad to see because there's a lot of kids that aren't going to get the chance to play at a certain level because of this. That the B player isn't going to be able to get up to the A echelon, right? Because all these A echelon-ish kids are just getting transported out to a different place, and they aren't playing for their team anymore. They're not playing for their town anymore, and it's trickled up to where a lot of it's become unwatchable. It's become unwatchable. It's not. You don't have the 6'4", 230 pound kid from Saskatchewan who's going to beat somebody up and punch him in the face. You don't have that anymore. And I'm not saying that's a good thing for kids to do, but my God, was it entertaining. Like it was. You don't have kids running guys over anymore like Tutu was, like back in the World Junior in 2000 or 1997. You don't have it anymore. It's just a lot different. And it's not nearly as good. And anybody who wants to tell me it is, they're lying. It's not as entertaining. It's just not. Anyways, here's my little rant for the day. Sorry to be negative on a Saturday morning here at 14:20. And went a little bit longer, 3 times longer than that. But a lot of fun, good conversation. It's something I wanted to get off my chest a little bit. I don't know why it got to this level, but it's one of those things. You watch sports and you're a part of it. You go, what the hell's going on here? They got to get back to the grassroots a little bit. They got to make sure kids have a chance. They got to make sure that these communities can get behind these kids, and that these kids are known more than just inside their little community, right? They're the academy community. We got to make sure that it gets noticed a lot more and have a lot more fun with it, because it's not fun. It's just not as fun to watch anymore. Maybe this year's World Junior team might be a bit different, but it's the same kids, right? It's dull. But there's my thought. Anyways, 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 beer sports talking a whole lot more. Actually, 4 coffees, but lots going on in the back end. Bullhorn doing the finishing that one up tomorrow. Had Kevin Kavami on, the owner, general manager of the team. Forte got some other guys lined up for next week going into the holiday season. I'm not sure what we're doing between Christmas and New Year's. I'm sure I'll get out there and flap my gums a whole bunch, but lots going on at 1420 World Headquarters. As always, some good stuff planned for the new year, but let's finish off 2024 on a high note here at World Headquarters. If you want to come on the show and then to tell me how wrong I am, you're more than welcome to drop me a line at 1420sports@gmail.com, or just fire me a note on the Twitter machine. I don't have a blue check mark, so you're allowed to fire anything off that you want, or just get a hold of me however you want to talk. Want to talk baseball, hockey? We'll figure out all these problems. We'll solve some problems, not make up anymore. Anyways, the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 beer sports talk, and a whole lot more. As always, is brought to you by SeatGeek.com and the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420SEAT at SeatGeek.com today, and it'll help support the 1420 podcast, and it helps us out a ton. Anyways, there it is, 14:20 in the morning. I'll do one tomorrow morning. Yeah, why not? We got nothing but time. I got no time. But anyways, we remember okay, let's finish this thing off. I'm starting to ramble. Everybody who watches knows I ramble a little bit. Who knows me? Anyways, it doesn't matter where you are. It's who you're with. And we will talk to you guys again tomorrow morning. Make sure you subscribe to our show. Have a good day, folks, and we'll see you tomorrow.
You just listened to the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. 4 beer with sports talking a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Let's get into it.